All right, so this recording should now be in process. This is our exam review for the first big exam for the environmental regulations class. So let's go ahead and start this off by framing what this is not. This is not going to be a deep dive lecture into the various regulations that we've covered so far. This is not going to be an enhanced lecture that will further confuse and derail you. This is to set you up for success, to get a great grade on the exam. All right. So I did not get any questions emailed to me about what anyone might want to hear about or learn more about. So those of you that are in attendance, this live audience, the show is up to you. If you have specific questions, now is the time. Present them to me. I'm happy to explain. I'm happy to provide guidance. But just so you know, I will keep it strictly to exam review because I don't want anyone getting confused or over anxious about the exam. So I'll just go ahead and start off because I'm sure there'll probably be some burning questions. Maybe everyone's wondering, how in the world did you structure this exam? Is it going to be incredibly tough? Is it going to be challenging? Are you going to try and fail all of us? The answer, no. I tried to make it as simple as possible. I even had my wife take it beforehand and she got a B, and she hasn't done environmental work in a long time. So I think it's perfectly doable. I structured the test exactly off the material that I have provided you guys. All right, there's going to be 50 questions. It's 40 minutes. By all means, feel free to use your notes, use the PowerPoint slides, whatever you'd like. All right, but just know you're not going to have that much time to do a lot of Googling. You know, the almighty Oracle is not going to work for you with the amount of time you have for these questions. So have your stuff ready, have it on hand, use your quick resource guide, but I'm doing the test to make sure that the basic material and concepts that I'd like you to be armed with for your future careers, whether that be academic or professional, is at the tip of your tongue, at the tip of your brain, where you can quickly access it. All right, because this stuff is important. So again, 50 questions, 40-minute test. Use your notes. Don't use your friends. Try and keep it to just you and the exam and your general knowledge, please. I made it all pretty much multiple choice or true false. I don't think I have any fill in the blank. When it's a time test, I think it's really unfair to have stuff be case sensitive and all that. So we've got true falses, we've got some multiple choice. I built it in so that if you do get a wrong answer, I tried to put in feedback that'll show you exactly where to go to get the right answer, whether that be the slide, whether that be a page in the book. If for some reason after taking the exam, any one of you clicked a button and you swear that you got it right, or you think maybe the question is wrong, well, guess what? I'm a human. I don't always get things right the first time. I vetted the test, had my wife take it, I took it. I think it's on point. If you think that you weren't treated fairly, just email me. We'll communicate. We'll get to the root of the matter and we'll get it sorted out. All right. Well, with that being said, with all the housekeeping out of the way, let's open it up. Questions? Is it just going to be crickets? Is that what we're doing here? Come on, Sean, I know you got one. But we can't hear you because you're on mute. You can put it in the chat box if you're having a technology issue. If you want to chat it, I'll pull up the chat box and I'll read it out loud. That's not a problem.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, anyone can ask a question. And thanks for doing the hand raise thing. I'm not so great with the technology, so we'll all have to work together as a team. If I don't see the hand raise or I don't catch the hint, just jump right in and go ahead and ask. Thank you. Go ahead.
After the exam and after everyone has taken it, will we be able to see the exam questions so we can study them further afterwards?
Yeah, I believe I have that set up. It should do that for you. So this is the second time I've taught this class. The time I taught it before was the first time I'd ever taught in general. So I think I've got the Blackboard set up so it should do that, because when I was in school, I like that too, right? I think that's important. You want to learn where you made the mistake, you want to see what you got right, and you want to keep it for studying material. That's fine, totally okay with that. I will be changing them from time to time. So if, not saying you're going to do this, but if you're one of those that blast it up on one of those test sites so people can have answers in the future, it's not going to work out. I try and change them up every time. And yeah, I've used those in the past myself. I was a student once too. I know they exist. But absolutely, they should be available for you to see, for you to have, and for you to review for your own personal knowledge and personal benefit. No problem with that whatsoever. And if it doesn't work and you want that, let me know. I'm happy to provide that for you. All right. Sean's question: will the questions be centralized or more around dates, times, or names of policies? Well, for those of you that took time out of your day to join me tonight, and if you're taking time to watch this video, guess what? You're in luck. Sean, here's a test question. This is literally on the test. I'll read it to you. What are the 5 P's of environmental policy that aid in overcoming the tragedy of the commons? The 5 P's. There's 5 of them. They're words that all start with the letter P. Sean, you want to tell us what they are? I know they're in the book. I know they're in the PowerPoint slides. Go ahead, take your time. But remember, when the test comes, you've only got about 50 seconds to look this up, so you better be quick. Uh-oh, someone's already on it. Well, Sean, you can look in the chat box and you can tell us if Christy's right or wrong. Oh, look at this. I love the chats. All right. We're all on it. Yeah. What do you think, Sean? Are we all getting this one right? Okay. So that's kind of what they're going to be like. All right. That's probably one of the harder ones, which is why I went ahead and listed it. Okay. There are going to be some other ones where it's multiple choice. By the way, y'all, I'm not a big fan of online exams. I think it's better to do interaction. When I was in law school, some of the best testing material we had was through the Socratic method, which is Q&A, conversation with the professor. Fantastic way of learning. If you haven't tried it before, it's wonderful. But I try to make these tests to test your basic knowledge over the basic concepts, right? Because that's the intent of this course, is to give you a broad understanding of an environmental rules and regulations, but more importantly, where to go to dive deeper if you need to dive deeper. And that's what I'm trying to convey to everyone here. I'm giving you the toolbox with the tools so that hopefully you'll know which one you need and be able to know where to go to get it. All right, so these questions, there are some where you might say, oh, you're using a tricky word. Yeah, I want to make sure that you read the question, but it's nothing really weird or out of the ordinary. If you just take your time, read the question, like on a multiple choice, you'll be able to see it. So long as you've read the chapters, read the PowerPoints, paid attention while we're doing our discussion posts, right? You'll be able to eliminate what is not accurate and choose the correct choice. Just make sure that you read them, right? Because they're designed to make sure that you're actually reading it and not going too fast. We had a saying when I was in the Army: slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Do it methodical, do it right. You only got to do it once. You're not going to make a mistake. Okay. Sean, I hope that helps. I hope that kind of clarifies for you the expectations on the exam. I will say that I like the book. I think the book is great. The reason that I built the PowerPoint supplements was because I thought it needed a bit more explanation. I didn't think it was very clear for someone who's just getting into environmental regulations. But we've got a blended class. We've got graduate students, we've got undergraduate. So I built the supplements to try and, one, explain some more complicated material, but then two, have links, resources, and places for people to go if they want more. Much like we have, graduate students in the class who are posting these wonderful, eloquent, long acronym postings about the Clean Air Act on our discussion board, and everyone's saying, oh my gosh, what does this mean? It's a foreign language. Well, you'll learn it eventually. But a lot of the test is going to be from the PowerPoint slides. Hint, hint. All right. What else, y'all? Burning questions. Exact chapters. How much information is it from each chapter? Well, it's clearly over everything that we've learned thus far. I will not test you on stuff that we haven't gone over in class yet. If you've read ahead, well, that's on you. But it's only over what has been assigned for the time to now. Does that make sense, Ben? Yes. Okay. And as far as like the distribution, well, I tried to make it fair, you know, pulling a bit from each. But the thing is there are some chapters and some concepts that I think, just based on my personal experience, based on my education, and based on things that I've had to deal with in a professional career, that I find more appropriate to try and pass on to y'all and highlight. So you might see some areas that are a bit more heavy than others, if that makes sense, just because I think it's important for y'all to understand those particular concepts. But I tried to make it equal among each chapter and PowerPoint supplement, if that helps. All right, what else do we got? I see Christy Alvarado in the room. Christy, what does CAA stand for? I think Christy already stopped listening. Yeah. There we go. Yeah, Clean Air Act. Hey, you got it. Good job. All right. Let's see here. Yeah, I'm just gonna pick on you. If you don't start asking me questions, I'm gonna just start picking on people. This opportunity is for y'all. I'm supposed to be on a dinner date with my wife. I'm sitting here with y'all. Come on, give me some questions. I don't want to cut this off early. I want to give you guys ample time, but let's make this interactive while we're all here. Right? It's perfectly okay. Ask me what you want to. I'll do my best to explain. If you guys have any confusion over concepts, I see there's a hand raise. I'm not quite sure how to get it, so.
Yes, I had another question. Sorry.
Go for it.
I know this is kind of like in the future, but for the final, are you going to take like questions that you use from each exam, or are you going to make like a whole new exam? That's kind of why I asked earlier if you were to give us the questions back. Yeah.
Yeah, you will see some repeats on the final, but there will be some fresh ones because on the final, it includes some concepts that weren't on the previous. So you will see some differences. And on the final, I like to include questions from the presentations that the graduate students are going to be providing. The graduate students have to present a legal case and brief the rest of the class on the case. And so I like to include some of those. It's my way of checking to make sure that y'all actually paid attention and watched those. If we were all in the classroom, then I could make sure you were all awake and paying attention and actually listening. Can't do that, so I'll put some questions on the exam. And then it's also kind of a reward for the graduate student, because when they see a question about their presentation, well, they better get that right. Okay, should we be mindful of legal battles, the dates they happened? Oh, I love that terminology, Sean. Yeah. It makes me think of like lawyers instead of suits and like shields and swords and axes like Vikings. It's not the case. Most legal battles are just kind of like really terrible, boring conversations over grammar. There could be a few. So here's a hint, right? When you're looking at my material, if I bolded it, if I underlined, if you see a little note that says, hey, this is important. Hey, I think that you'll appreciate knowing about this. It's probably something I might also include on the test. If there's a lot of text and it looks like something that only a legal nerd would want to dive more into. It's probably not going to be testable. It's more likely going to be for your own information, for someone that actually wants to, really dive deep into that concept. I like to be able to give them avenues and pathways to pursue it. But if I have bolded it, if I have gone out of my way to try and make it obvious that it's important, it's probably one that you're going to want to know a little bit about. But again, my focus is that you have the 1,000-foot view, that you understand the basic concepts, that you understand the very basic application or the ruling of the case or how it's affected environmental regulation. You don't need to know the nitty and gritty aspects. Okay. Oh gosh, the chat is going like crazy. Hold on here, y'all. This is good. Everyone's waking up. I guess the coffee kicked in. All right, so we've talked about legal battles. You're going to be giving us a review for the next exam? Yeah, absolutely. I like to give reviews. I'm happy to do it. Also, so everyone knows, I put an announcement out like this. If there are particular concepts as we go through this course where y'all are thinking, gosh, this is confusing, or I'd like to know more about this topic, if y'all email me, and there's several of you, 2, 3, that want to have kind of a one-on-one lecture about that, I'm happy to do that and record it for those that can't make it. But y'all got to let me know, right? Y'all got to let me know. I'm here for you if you want. You're paying for this course, so I work for you, but you got to let me know. Right? And I'm sorry we have to do this all virtually, but I do live in Virginia. That makes the commute to Corpus quite difficult. All right. So yes, I will be giving other reviews for each exam. That's mandatory. I think that's important. I owe y'all that at a minimum. How many questions are on the exam? 50 questions, 40 minutes. I haven't seen anything on when it is. When is the test? That's a good question. Yeah, it's closed right now, but it is on the syllabus on the dates that it's going to open. But I made a decision today that after this review, I'm going to go ahead and open it early. So as soon as we get done with this review, I'm going to open it and I'm going to extend it a day. The reason is President Biden just signed a law giving everyone a federal holiday tomorrow. I want to recognize the importance of Juneteenth. I think that's important. And if y'all want to go out, y'all, it's the first federal holiday since 1983. That's important. You want to go out and celebrate? Go out and celebrate, right? I'll give you extra time on this exam. It's a groundbreaking thing that just happened to be able to recognize Juneteenth, the importance, the historical significance of it. The last federal holiday was MLK Day in 1983. So this is a huge event. So as soon as this review is done, I'm going to click the thing to open the exam. I'll extend it by another 24 hours, just in recognition of this significant historical event. Okay. So I hope that clarifies. I'll send an announcement out too for the people that aren't on this live. So I'll make sure and post that announcement. Okay. What else do we got, y'all? Any other test anxiety? It's not going to be that bad. I promise. Not going to be that bad. Try not to set y'all up for failure. It's important that you learn, not that you feel like you failed.
I have a question, but it's not about the test.
That's okay. What
Okay.
is it?
It's about the discussion forum. When are those due? I've looked, like, is it like Monday to Friday, like for each week, or like?
Oh, the discussion posts and the current events?
Like the ones that are going now, like when do I need to have them completed by?
We're doing this asynchronous, and we're doing this asynchronous for many reasons, but one, because we recognize that people have other stuff going on and can't be full-time students. I mean, I was one of those. I worked through school, right? So I'll be rational about it. I'm not going to cut things off Friday at midnight, but I'd like y'all to have them in, Sunday evening, so then we start the new.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yes. Thank you.
No problem. And I know things happen, life happens. What's important to me is communication. I think I've stressed that a lot. If you have an issue, if you have a concern, email me one-on-one, we can talk about it. But what is not good to do is to wait to the last minute to submit a paper and then complain that you had submission issues, right? If you're having submission issues while you're trying to submit it an hour ahead of time, that's one thing, or 2 hours ahead of time. Anyway, we can debate that. Point being, communicate with me. I try to be a rational and fair person. If you have issues, let me know. If you can't meet certain deadlines, something happens in life. Last semester, we had the ice storm, so we extended all kinds of deadlines. It was, I try to be a rational and fair person again. My whole goal out of this is that y'all take something away that benefits you professionally, whether that be in academics or your career. What will we need to know about the Clean Air Act? Hey, yeah, good question. That is an incredible piece of legislation. It is so challenging. I spent an entire semester in law school only on the Clean Air Act. Y'all get a chapter and a PowerPoint slide. So probably what I put on the PowerPoint slide is what I expect you to know, right? The very basics, the very basics of the Clean Air Act. You might want to look at certain acronyms like MACT. You might want to look at stuff that I highlighted as important about the Clean Air Act, right? Maybe something like the HAPs would be important to know. Maybe, something about the NSPS, the basic acronyms that kind of the pillars of the Clean Air Act, right? The frameworks, that's what I really want y'all to know. Okay. Next, before I move on to the next question, Nicholas Woodward, did that clarify things for you? Did that kind of make it a bit more easier to know what you need to know? Great. All right. A couple current events in mind. How current? Oh, yeah. How current should they be? They don't need to be hot off the press. Sometimes some things, have to bake in the oven for a while. I get that. Just don't be posting stuff that was, news in 1975, please. Good question. Not a bad question at all. Time and scope sometimes are different. If it's something really neat that happened a couple of years ago and we forgot about it or wasn't really published or something, brought it back up to the surface, that's fine. Just not old news. We want to make it current so that people are aware of what's going on. Also, I think the current event stimulates good discussion. We're all constantly connected by our media, and it just kind of helps people see different environmental issues as they're coming up. And especially right now with the current administration really moving forward on bolstering our environmental legislation, environmental regulations. I think the current event section is interesting. Plus, frankly, y'all, I love it. I wake up every morning, have a cup of coffee, and I read what y'all are putting on the current events. I don't have to go to any other news source. Y'all are my freelance media informing me of what's going on around the world. So I like it too. All right. What else? Housekeeping questions? Anything else? A countdown. Can I explain trading? Yeah, that's a complicated subject, actually, Christy, and I appreciate the question. I'd be happy to have a one-on-one about that for the exam. Not really necessary to dive deep into. That can cause a lot of confusion. That can be a very complex topic to dive into. And again, I'm absolutely happy if y'all want to have these conversations, I'd love them. And I'm fine for it. We can find time on everyone's schedule. We can sit down virtually and have a conversation about trading under the Clean Air Act. And I'll provide what I know and extra resources. But for exam purposes, we don't want people freaking out. We'll keep it to what's on the exam, and that there might be one simple question like about trading, like is it on the New York Stock Exchange or something? But don't fret over that one. Just email me one-on-one, Christy, if you'd like to have that conversation again. Happy to. All right.
For the exam, do we have to answer one question before we can move on to the next one, or can we skip around?
That's a really good housekeeping question. I believe the way it's set up is no backtracking and one at a time. So you should move through it sequentially. Some people don't like that. I understand. But in my opinion, it helps with methodical, slow movement forward. In addition to making a decision, sticking with it. These are timed. So we got to move forward. We got to be tested. Got to make sure that we got the answer and suffer the consequences. But again, if for some reason you're reading a question and you've got your notes and you're like, oh my gosh, this question is actually wrong, etc. Don't overthink it. Answer to the best of your ability. Email me one-on-one. We can talk about it. And if I'm wrong, I will absolutely let you know, and I will give you credit for it. Any extra credit on the exam? Nope. Nope. No extra credit. The extra credit was given to you at the beginning with the introductions. There was extra credit there. I usually don't do too much extra credit, except like right in the beginning. So there's that.
Sir, I have a question.
Absolutely.
For the exam in the question order, is it going to go based off of chapters, like starting, the first question is going to start in chapter 1 as it moves forward?
You know, that's a really good question, and I appreciate that. I am a methodical person, and if I was taking this exam, I kind of see where you're going with this. I would have PowerPoint 1 slides ready to go, PowerPoint 2 slides, the chapter with my tabs. I would be moving through it sequentially. Firstly, do yourself a favor. If you are that organized, and probably from this question, I presume you are a very organized person. Believe in yourself. Trust in yourself that reading this material, staying up to date with the PowerPoint supplements that I gave, taking time to digest it, right? That you are confident that you are coming in here ready to get an A on this exam. It is not difficult. It's not difficult. For example, here's another freebie. Boy, y'all are getting a few in this one. So with all the freebies, I see no reason why anyone should do poorly. I'll ask you a question. Is it true that all agency rules must be published in the Code of Federal Regulations, CFR? When an agency puts out a rule, it must be published in the Code of Federal Regulations. Is that true or false? We went over this. It's listed on page 69 of the book. Anyone willing to take a dive here? At 50-50 shot. This is what I said, true or false? I can almost hear the pages rustling. True. Correct. Good job, Christy. Yes. Under the APA, the Administrative Procedures Act, all agency rules must go through the FR. They must go through a public and notice comment where people have the ability to comment on it, to complain, make suggestions. If any of you are administrative or process nerds, you know, you can go onto the website and read them. Some of them are actually quite fascinating. I was reading one the other day of a proposed rule for the washing of hen eggs. Yeah, that's another story for another time, but there are new rules about how to wash eggs that reach your supermarket. It's actually kind of fascinating stuff. You didn't know that eggs have to go through a pretty prescribed washing process that includes maybe mineral oil and chlorine on the shells. But you go on the FR and you can read this stuff and impress your friends with bar trivia. All right. Well, Matt Daigle is just joining. He's joining right when we're about to end the party. Welcome to the team, Matt. Glad you could join us.
Yes, it's my bad, Professor. I lost track of time, and I was like, oh no, tell me I didn't miss this meeting.
It's okay. You know what? I appreciate that. I also understand how life happens. It's kind of winding down, but it is being recorded, so you can go back and review it. But while you're here, you made an effort. Are there any burning questions? And if you ask something that I've already addressed, I'll just say replay the recording. But maybe you're thinking of something none of us have talked about yet.
Nope, I really don't have anything that I can probably just go through the recording and check, honestly.
Okay. All right. Well, I do appreciate you making the meeting, even at the last lap. So anyone else? Anything else y'all want to bring up? Okay. All right. Well, I will part with some words of wisdom. Just believe in yourself. You're going to be fine. I will say one thing. I don't know if anyone is a fan of yoga and power poses, but this old soldier loves them, right? Before any law school exam, get up, do your power pose. You're like, ah, I'm going to destroy this exam. I know my material. I've studied. I've read the stuff. I'm ready. I'm going to do this. Positive thinking really matters, right? I was told a long time ago that the feeling of anxiety is the same physiological feeling at times as excitement. Okay? Work on that power of positive thinking. I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling actually excited. I'm ready to go. All right? I think you guys are going to be fine. If you run into issues, if you run into problems, if you have emergencies, it's okay. Email me. I'm a rational person. We'll find a solution. I hope everyone does great. And again, I'm opening the exam right as soon as we get done here. I'll send an announcement out. I'm going to extend the deadline by a day. Y'all recognize the importance of Juneteenth. Go out, celebrate. If you don't know about it, look it up. Very significant historical event. And it's our first federal holiday since 1983. So I hope y'all enjoy it, and we'll be in touch next week. And good luck with the exam. Bye, y'all.
Thank you so much, sir.